What's going on, guys? It's your boy here again, Dean, and I am doing a Mob Psycho deck profile only because, I don't know, some people in the Discord were like, oh, what about that Mob deck that was in Toronto? It had a very mediocre 4-3 showing. Really, this is just an excuse to flex a very expensive deck and to just kind of put some content on the channel. You know how it is. So first up, let's start off. We're playing Four Dimples. This card fucking sucks. It always whiffs. It is a level 0 coin flip. Gets 2k if you have 5 or less hand, which is pretty important because it means that after you clock up to 7, you're going to be able to keep it at 3k after slamming down our going second card and our good going first card, the Petite Mob. It bottom decks a card on your opponent's board if they only have one thing in play. Perfect for going second, but also gives your middle lane 1500, meaning that after your Dimple whiffs its coin flip, which it will, you're going to be able to have a 4500 power level 0, hopefully plussing after that. We've got 3 Brainstorm. It makes your Reagans not completely fuck up your deck, which is very important because everything in this deck wants to fight itself, with Dimple being Spirit with no other traits, meaning that it can't be added off of our 1/1 counter. This deck is atrocious. It is, it's a little rough. It's a little rough. On that, it gives 500 power, which is actually surprisingly relevant in this meta for fighting decks like Nino, which is thankfully the only standby deck left alive, which is really good for us, actually. We have 3 of this Ricky, the Ritsu Ricky. It is pretty fucking atrocious compared to modern ones. Off the top of the deck, you get to clock yourself, so cannot color fix, cannot experience fix, which is also important because our deck does rely on experience at level 1 and at level 3, technically, or level 2. And then it pumps a card on the board 2k if we're level 1 or higher, but it's on play and not on... It's on play pump, not on attack, so that it can never pump the card you grab, and it's a Ricky, which means you're playing it to get to level 1. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It basically has lost power for a line of text you're not going to be using all too well. We got 2 clean cuts because I literally sleeved up this deck 4 years ago. I still think this is fine. It kind of just helps us like maybe attack with our Brainstorm because our deck is pretty bad. Or maybe it gives us a power pump target with the Ritsu, just being able to take advantage of it because usually our plussing engine is not too good. We got 2 of this. This is Ritsu Childhood Memories. What's important about this has family trait. No other traits means that it does not actually interact with our deck. We can't early play if this is on board. It's a double filter. First, it's a ditch bond, and second, it's a ditch bond for the 1/1 event. And it's a clock bond for our finisher. So it helps us maintain hand. Like you can do something like if you're on the level 3 finisher in hand with the 1/1's engraved, you can discard the level 3 to filter and then clock to grab it back. You have to play this card. It's like one of the most important consistency pieces. It's effectively a dig 4 for 1. Sadly, you can't grab it off of the 1/1 counter because the 1/1 counter only adds Esper, and Muscles, which also means the Dimple whiffs on it. But then your early play doesn't early play unless your board is all Spirit or Esper. So unfortunate, but you have to play it. It is a very important in the deck. 1 of Stock Swap. I don't think I've ever used this card. It is pretty... it is... You cut this card. I'm going to be honest. Your finisher can go off for 4 stock. You can do triple, but even with that, trust me, you're not getting to level 3 with 7 stock. You usually have to smash a Brainstorm, so that would mean 8. And that's too much of a stock overhead for this thing 95% of the time. Or you're going to be using like the Wig or something. I've just never really been in a position where I've been able to use this, but it's in the deck. Over here, we got a level 0. This is the promo that we got forever ago. It's got pay 1, ditch 1, look at 3. Important. Able to find a climax maybe or something that you don't have, and then on attack is something 500. Just a utility card. Really nothing else. And speaking of utility cards, the Tsubomi, she's got first love trait, no other traits. She doesn't actually work with your deck, but she's a climax swap, and on cancel, she runs the stock. Not... it's really unfortunate that our climax swap isn't grabbable with like some of our filter cards, but it is what it is. Your Brainstorm, it does just grab characters out of grave, so that's fine, I guess. And this thing grabs level 1 or lower. Now on to the level 1s. We've got 4 Taruki with his Climax, the choice. Taruki is 3/5 power. On Climax placement, you can discard a card when you attack to gain the ability that it bounces back when it's front attacked. And then you get to look at the up to top 3 and add 1. So you basically get a hand filter, deck speed, and you only plus if this card comes back to your hand, but you don't like generate hand on like. It's a little awkward. More importantly, has experience 2 to be a vanilla. It's a 5/5 as long as you have experience 2. So it swings in at 6/5, which actually, thank God, when I went to Toronto, the meta has changed. 4 years ago, this deck was actually unplayable because we were in the middle of Day Live and just Quince 1 or 2, where like they would stand by at the 2/2/7/5, or you'd fight Mishoku Tensei, and everything was absolutely massive, literally starting from turn 2. Nowadays, we got Bochi the Rock, we got like Free Rin, we got all these decks that are not actually big on defense, so you're actually able to get over them. And even if you fight Nino, thank God Nino has changed. If you get this out before they Nino, you get to bounce back, denying them hand. And then actually this thing is big enough to crack the Ninos because they're only 6/5. And from my understanding, any deck I've seen, they don't usually play level 1 counters. So you're able to go 6/5. Okay, well, we'd be trading, but the 500 power puts you right over, and then the 1500 in the middle. So you get 2 lanes, and then you're able to just kind of go from there, maybe trade with the other one or something. Huge, huge coincidence that I was able to actually get this thing off almost every game. Very big MVP. And if you don't know how to use a combo like this, if you can't get through the full deck, you pretty much just like ditch one, add, and unless you're looking for specifically a second Climax, in which case you might go a few deeper, but once you find the Climax, you just ditch, add, and you just let your opponent cycle your deck for you, and then you use it on the following turn to get the good refresh. And then we have the Explosion counter. 1/1 blue event, important. Notice our level 1 is yellow, so this is blue. And we're in 2 colors, so sometimes we can't do both. But if we can do both, we're in a good spot. It's why I think this card, not clocking color, this was before color clock cards came out. Most unfortunate for us, but it is what it is. This is just a camera. You get to look at 4 and add 1. More importantly, I guess, as far as the deck goes, what's important is you have to have the Arthur Fist art right there. Look at that. If you're not playing that, you're not doing it right. But it goes to memory, and it top checks 4 for Master Muscle Esper. And if there's 3 of them in memory, your level 3 has an additional line of text. That's what's important about it. It's deck speed, selectivity for some of our cards. We can't add Dimple. We can't add Tsubomi. Those are really the only 2 cards we can't add with it. But yeah, it's in there because we've got to play it. It's what we've got for deck speed. It helps shore out the fact this only looks at 3. And then this is randomly good. Mob has absolute dog shit choices for cards. And we're playing choice, and we need soul triggers in our deck. Well, this is a Adachi. It's a bottom deck bomb. And when we get to play it, we can reveal the top if it's a level 0 or lower. No, level 1 or lower. So it hits, itself. It hits this. That card goes to stock. It hits climaxes, removes them from your deck. I think it's mandatory if you reveal. Yeah, it is. It is mandatory if you reveal. If you reveal a climax, it just goes in stock. You don't get to brainstorm to plus. That would be too good. But it has a soul trigger, and it's a 1/1. That's what's important. And then, yeah, bottom decks, since we're playing 2 Adachi, that can randomly be good, especially into a deck like Ichika. You could even go 3 of this card, really. This card, you can just keep putting it in your deck, and there's actually no problem. It's one of the better cards you have at your disposal. But I opted for a 1 of Memory Shoot counter because our finisher, it's like decently big on defense. It's like 12k, so maybe we're going to be able to save ourselves with this. It's never really come up. But Memory Shoot counter, always good. And then at level 3, we got 4 of the mobs. You got to go with the I'm Terrible. If you don't have the I'm Terrible art, I'm sorry. I don't even know where you get them anymore, but you can't be going with the Japanese text, I'll tell you that much. The card has, if you have 3 of these in memory, 3, by the way, that's insane. It's a 12k and hexproof. Very important. And then it has draw 2, ditch 2, blind stock 1 on play. So for 4 stock, you're going to be able to end, like you can play all 3 of them and still have 1 stock, which is important because it has pay 2, ditch 2, restand. Notice that there's not a lot of there's not a whole lot of ways to like maintain hand. So you usually have to sack a brainstorm or something, or like hit one of your climaxes in order to maintain hand size. Important thing about this is that restanders they're always like decent enough. They're always decent enough. Like they're not as precise as modern finishers, depending on the board state. Like if your opponent gives you the option to like use side attacks, especially if you can like have 5 stock before you play this thing out. So you can attack with 1 and then restand it and then like choose to attack with it later. Because like maybe it got a soul trigger. If you don't know, like when you restand a card, it maintains the soul that it gained. So if this thing is like 3, but then you trigger, it goes to 4. Now you have the option to side for 1 if it's level 3, or God forbid your opponent's got like a board of like level 1s and 2s. Basically, restanders, a cheap restander, regardless of how Weiss shakes out, always gives you a lot of flexibility depending on how your opponents develop their board. And that's honestly like a reason that I was able to just take this and like kind of steal games, is that like my opponent would give me a good board where the restander had a lot of modulation in how I was able to approach the situation that I was given. So that's pretty good. And hexproof is randomly really okay right now. I saw a lot of minus soul counters, Overlord tap counter. Saw, you know, if you see Nino, I didn't see Nino, but if you do see Nino, you can dodge the minus the bracelet. So the hexproof can randomly be really good. It also means that this memory shoot counter is always kind of threatening because they can't really bounce this. It's just kind of 12k. So you're always starting a 15k on just a random finisher, maybe, if that's something. Overall, this card has aged. This card doesn't age too poorly ever. As long as like your restander is like semi-efficient and you can like do it, they're never like the worst combos. Basically, what I'm trying to say. We got 3 Petite Reagans. This card was fucking horrendous in tournament. That's right. -1 if you got 2 or less climaxes. It has the Silica Encore. Was it the Liz Encore? Whatever the Encore is, the Rhino from Kimono Friends, where when it's if everything on your board is dead and nothing is like tapped, you can pay 1, save it, and then it heals a trait to bottom of deck. It heals, what is it, Master or Esper. So you can't heal Dimple, you can't heal your events, you can't heal Ritsu, and you can't heal Tsubomi. And you can't heal, Master or Esper. So yeah. So those are the ones. And of course you can't heal climaxes. So like traded ones always can't hit climaxes. But for some reason, your traits are more fucked up than other people's traits. So it doesn't matter that, I don't know, Bang Dream ones heal music off. Like, right, the Ron early play heals music to memory. This card is to bottom of deck, so your opponent knows they can just destroy you. I guess you know that it's also clean on the bottom. Do with that what you will. Maybe that changes some decisions. Maybe you're not going to brainstorm the last card of the deck's the climax, right? it can't come up. I have healed this to bottom and then known that I could like draw it off of itself. Very important. Then we got another early play. We got this Taruki. He is 8/5, but if you have experience 4, which you will never get, despite the fact that you level one of these, you almost never get experience 4 because you're never going to be leveling this. You're never going to be leveling this. At most, you're going to level an Adachi. And nothing, you're never going to level 2 level 3s. So, like, experience 4 is nearly impossible with the deck. But if you do, it's a 10/5. More importantly, on early play, you get to top check up to X, where X is the number of characters on your board. But, sorry, not characters. It's like Esper or Spirit, and it early plays for Esper or Spirit. So it's top check 5 on play if you early play it. But it's... You can't always like top check 5 because sometimes you play down this card to clock bond for this on your finisher turn, and now this card can't actually look at 5. It looks at like 4 or something. God, this set sucks. So this card's a little unfortunate. It works with the Dimple at least, so we have a little bit of modulation. But yeah, this card, or if you have to play a Climax Swapper, this card's not going to work. It's a little unfortunate. It is what it is. Thankfully, it's only this card that it really doesn't work with. The problem is this is one of our key pieces for like finding level 3s, so it can actually come up. And then the last card in the deck is the Wig. You know, after this weekend, I don't know, I'd probably cut the Wig. Like, the Wig is always like the dream that you're going to triple mob plus the Wig, which is, that's a lot of hand. That's a lot of hand, because notice we're not playing the Taruki Brainstorm. So, okay, Wig, I guess I'll explain what it does. You can only play it if you have a Taruki on the board. So we got the level 3 and the level 1. And you give 2 cards on your board plus 2,000 power and cancel burn 1 once per turn. And hexproof. So if you don't have the 3 events in memory, you can still make 2 of these hexproof and give them extra power. So like if they got like a level 0 on board, you can side the level 0 and then the hexproofs get in anyway to be able to dodge defensive counters. That part's very important. I think that's really why it was there, is for not like having to all in on these counters, but it takes 2 extra hand because these cards are never naturally on the board. And specifically, this adds 4 stock to your top end. So you go from, you know, this is a 4 stock finisher, this is an 8 stock finisher. So that's quite difficult. 6 stock finisher, a little bit easier, but this is ditch 2. So now, you know, you've played on 3 of these. You played the Climax, that's 4 cards out of hand, 5, 6, and you have to discard another 6. So that's 12 cards in hand. You started the turn with 8, saying you went into turn with the full hand size, clock to 9. You got to hit 3 on a Brainstorm for that. Like, that's, I'm not gonna say it's never happened or you've never seen that. Like, you've gone for the Wig with the triple because you hit like 2 on a Brainstorm. You just have to hit a Climax or something on attack. You have 5 attacks to find 2, like 1 Climax. You can usually do it. So yeah, that's the deck profile. Don't expect Weiss from me. I don't really buy it much anymore, but I might do a box opening, a gushing and stuff. But if you guys liked it, smash that like button. And yeah, look forward to more Shadowverse content coming soon. Until then, this is your boy Dean signing out.